There's something uniquely horrifying about hearing a scream in the middle of the night. Not yelling, not arguing, a scream. The kind that makes your stomach drop before your brain even understands why. And in one of Seoul's wealthiest neighborhoods, that scream was followed by a sound that one witness said he'll probably never forget for the rest of his life. A heavy thud. At first, he thought maybe someone dropped furniture from a balcony. Maybe construction debris. Maybe his mind was playing tricks on him. But when he stepped outside his apartment building, he saw a young woman lying motionless on the pavement, 21 floors below her home. And what initially looked like a tragic suicide quickly became something much darker. Because this woman hadn't simply fallen. She had been stabbed, dragged through her own apartment, and according to investigators, likely thrown from the window while she was barely conscious. What makes this case especially disturbing to me isn't just the violence. It's the psychology behind it. Because once again, we see somebody claiming, "I loved her." But what they really mean is, "I wanted to own her." And the moment that control slipped away, somebody died. Tonight, we're diving into one of Seoul's most chilling domestic murder case. The Seoul District 21st Floor Murder. Welcome to the podcast You Can't Unhear. The case unfolded on November 17th, 2021, in Seoul District, Seoul. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Seoul geography, Seoul is considered one of the city's more affluent areas. Expensive apartments, professionals, quiet streets. The kind of neighborhood people associate with stability and success. That's part of what shocked residents so much. People tend to imagine horrific crimes happening in dark alleys or abandoned neighborhoods. But violence doesn't care about zip codes. Some of the worst things imaginable happen behind luxury apartment doors. That night, around 8:30 p.m., a resident living on the ground floor heard a woman scream from above. Then came the impact. He immediately walked outside and found a woman collapsed on the ground near the building. Police and emergency responders arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do. The victim, later identified as 26-year-old Ms. Min, was already dead. At first glance, authorities considered the possibility of suicide. A fall from the 21st floor is catastrophic. And sadly, in South Korea, high-rise suicides are not unheard of. But investigators almost immediately noticed inconsistencies. And those inconsistencies would completely change the direction of the case. The autopsy revealed that Ms. Min hadn't simply fallen. She had multiple stab wounds across the left side of her body. Her arms, her chest, her back, her thigh, her hands. That last detail is important. Wounds on the hands often indicate defensive injuries, meaning she fought back. And then investigators discovered bloodstains inside the apartment building, specifically near the emergency staircase on the 20th floor and near the apartment window itself. Suddenly, the image of what happened that night became horrifyingly clear. This wasn't suicide. This was a violent struggle. And honestly, this next part really stuck with me. Profilers noted that her body landed head first. Apparently, people who intentionally jump often instinctively attempt to orient themselves feet first during the fall. But Ms. Min's injuries suggested she may have been semi-conscious or physically unable to react, which means there's a very real possibility that during her final moments alive, she wasn't even fully aware she was falling. That's terrifying. Because imagine the level of violence required to reduce someone to that state before throwing them out a window. And what's even creepier is this. At first, police had no idea how the killer entered the apartment. CCTV footage showed Ms. Min returning home alone around 7 p.m. Nobody suspicious followed her. Nobody forced entry. Nobody appeared on surveillance cameras. For a while, investigators genuinely struggled to understand how this happened, until emergency services received a phone call. And this is where the entire case shifts. A man called emergency services and calmly said, "I just threw the woman I love most in this world from the 21st floor apartment." Then he added something even more disturbing. "I might follow my girlfriend." And then the line disconnected. Police traced the call almost immediately and arrested a 30-year-old man named Park. Not a stranger, not a stalker, her boyfriend. Or more accurately, the man she had been living with. And once investigators began looking into their relationship, they uncovered a deeply toxic dynamic hiding beneath the surface. Park wasn't some successful businessman like he apparently portrayed himself to be. He operated fraudulent cryptocurrency schemes and had already been reported for financial crimes involving scams and pyramid-style investments. This part feels painfully familiar. A lot of controlling relationships begin with dependency. At some point, Park convinced Ms. Min to quit her nightlife job and rely on him financially. He promised stability, support, security. But then his money disappeared. Because fraudulent lifestyles eventually collapse. And when it all came crashing down, Ms. Min returned to nightlife work to help pay bills. Now, logically, most people would understand this. If you can't provide financially anymore, your partner working makes sense. But abusive people often see independence as betrayal. That's what people miss about possessive relationships. The issue usually isn't love, it's control. And once control starts slipping away, some people become dangerous. Park reportedly became furious that she went back to work. Not because of morality, not because of concern, but because it symbolized something psychologically devastating to him. She no longer depended on him. And for deeply insecure people, that can trigger rage, especially when their ego is already collapsing financially. The night of the murder. According to investigators, Park returned to the apartment early that day and waited for her inside. That detail gives me chills, because that means there was planning. He had time to think, time to calm down, time to reconsider. And he still chose violence. When Ms. Min came home around 7 p.m., he attacked her with a knife. Imagine walking into your own apartment after work and suddenly realizing the person waiting for you intends to kill you. That realization alone must have been horrifying. Investigators believe she managed to escape briefly into the emergency staircase. That explains the blood evidence found there. So for at least a moment, she was trying to survive, trying to get away, trying to reach safety. But he dragged her back inside the apartment. That image is one of the hardest parts of this case for me, because it tells you how desperately she fought to live. And despite all of that, despite stabbing her repeatedly, despite terrifying her, despite literally throwing her from a building, Park still described himself as the victim. When I'm reading this the first time, I felt so angry. Because how? Some abusive people are so twisted that they rewrite reality so completely and genuinely see themselves as wronged, even while destroying someone else's life. I would never understand. During questioning, Park said, "She was my beloved girlfriend." Then he complained that after he lost money, she went back to work and wanted to break up with him. Listen carefully to the wording. Not, I regret hurting her. Not, I can't believe what I did. Instead, I gave her everything. That sentence tells you everything. Transactional love, possessive love, conditional love, the kind that says, I invested in you, therefore you owe me loyalty forever. That's not love. That's ownership disguised as love. To me, the most haunting part of this case isn't even the murder itself. It's how ordinary it probably looked from the outside beforehand. Neighbours likely saw a normal couple. Friends probably saw relationship problems. Maybe arguments. Maybe financial stress. Nothing that screamed, this will end in murder. And that's what makes domestic violence so terrifying. A lot of people imagine monsters as visibly evil. But real danger often looks normal right up until the moment it isn't. One argument becomes intimidation. Intimidation becomes control. Control becomes violence. And by the time outsiders realize how serious things are, it's already too late. Another thing people overlook is how dangerous separation can be. Statistically, one of the most dangerous moments in an abusive relationship is when the victim attempts to leave. Because for controlling individuals, abandonment feels like annihilation, especially when their identity, finances, and ego are already collapsing. Park wasn't just losing a girlfriend. In his mind, he was losing control of the entire fantasy he built around himself. And instead of accepting reality, he destroyed the person closest to him. At trial, Park attempted to lessen his responsibility. He claimed mental instability, drug influence, emotional distress. Now, to be clear, mental illness can absolutely affect behavior. But courts also look at planning. And there was clear evidence of intent here. He waited in the apartment. He attacked her. He chased her. He dragged her back. And afterward, he confessed coherently. That's not somebody detached from reality. That's somebody making choices. The judge ultimately sentenced him to 25 years in prison. People in South Korea debated heavily whether that sentence was enough, because no sentence really matches the brutality of what happened. A young woman lost her life in absolute terror, and her final moments became national headlines. There's something I keep thinking about with this case. Ms. Min likely believed she was just coming home after work. That's it. Just another evening. Maybe tired. Maybe stressed. Maybe thinking about dinner or messages on her phone. And within minutes, her life was over. That randomness is what makes stories like this so unsettling. Sometimes danger doesn't come from strangers in dark alleys. Sometimes it comes from the person who says, I love you. And maybe the biggest lesson here is learning the difference between love and possession. Because real love doesn't punish independence. Real love doesn't turn violent when rejected. Real love doesn't say, if I can't have you, nobody can. That's not romance. That's ego mixed with control. And unfortunately, people often ignore early warning signs because toxic behavior gets normalized as passion, extreme jealousy, financial dependency, emotional manipulation. People romanticize these things constantly. But sometimes those behaviors are previews of something much darker. One of the saddest parts is that cases like this are rarely isolated incidents. Usually there are warning signs beforehand. Arguments friends noticed.
fear family sensed.
Moments the victim downplayed. Because humans naturally want to believe the people they love won't hurt them. Until they do. So if there's anything worth taking away from this story, it's this. Pay attention to controlling behavior early. Trust your instincts. And never mistake obsession for love. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in your life is the one saying that they care about you. And somewhere in Seoul tonight, that 21st floor window still exists. Silent. Ordinary. Just another apartment in another building. But for the people who know what happened there, it'll never feel ordinary again. Stay safe out there, guys. See you on the next episode of the podcast You Can't Unhear.